Hey guys, it's another nighttime video here from Two Cents Rugby because I've been back at the office for a couple of days now and I can no longer do a sneaky video at lunchtime during my lunch break. I have got this. My man Karl sent me a package. It arrived last Friday and I'm finally just getting around to opening it. Now Karl supports me on Patreon and has sent me a jersey, so very much a massive supporter of the channel, so thank you so much, Karl. I'm glad this arrived safe and sound. The postal services have still been kind of under the pump with all the stuff getting ordered online these days, but yeah, it got here, so thank you for that, mate. I'll also talk briefly about the talks which have been going on about getting a global calendar sorted, a bit about Kenki Fukuoka, the Japanese winger, and also about a rugby video game campaign which is underway. First things first, we'll start with the jersey, and then we will crack on. Karl has actually sent me a jersey once before. It was a Wales jersey, and this time it's a jersey of a team. He told me which one it was. It's a jersey of a team which I don't have. It's got a little bit of a New Zealand connection in terms of some of the coaches over the last few years. It's certainly a pretty sweet color and a pretty sweet logo. And it is a Scarlets jersey, which is phenomenal. That is awesome, Karl. That feels really nice. And the logo is embroidered, which I always appreciate more than the kind of heat pressed stuff, which eventually peels off. But no, there's nothing on this jersey which is going to peel off. Man, that is very, very nice. The color is not quite fairly represented on the camera because I am sitting here with a lamp next to me, so it's not quite the natural color. But trust me, it's a pretty bloody good looking jersey. I'll try that on shortly. Hopefully the lockdown kilos which have been added will still allow me to get into it. But man, thank you so much for that, Karl. That is fantastic. How am I going with Welsh teams now? Got Cardiff Blues, Dragons, got Scarlets, and I've got... Do I have any others? I need to think about that. Oh, Ospreys. Jeez, bad memory. Yes, I've got Ospreys as well. I'm pretty well stocked in terms of Welsh teams, eh? But yeah, thank you, Karl. As I mentioned, that is a fantastic addition to the collection, and as I said, I'll see if I can get into that shortly. Now, in terms of the news, the first one is kind of news, which is not really news. I've put no progress on global calendar. So that's not what World Rugby's headline was, funnily enough. World Rugby's headline reads, this is from their website, I'll try to remember a link to the story in the description. World Rugby welcomes commitment to further global calendar dialogue. I don't know about the job that you guys do, but my day job involves going to meetings sometimes, and sometimes when you finish that meeting, all you've really sorted out is maybe an idea about what you want to talk about in the next meeting. That seems to be the case with this one. They go on and talk about how the COVID-19 pandemic has significantly impacted the calendar for this year, and in the absence of full alignment, further information sharing and discussion will be undertaken with all parties regarding the viability of proposed adjustments to the 2020 international release weekends. And they're going to do that in June, it's June now, but the 30th of June. There was also commitment to further detailed commercial and player welfare modelling in full collaboration with the club game to better assess the viability and attractiveness for all parties of a potential new ongoing global release period of October-November from 2021, replacing the July window. So yeah, from what I could read, and man, if you read the different hemispheres news, the story, even though that was a pretty nothing story, they've interpreted it very different ways. If you go to the BBC, their reporting of that one is basically like the prospect of a groundbreaking global calendar remains alive, and we're going to keep talking about it. They want to revitalize the global game, deliver much needed alignment, but the English and French clubs haven't been taking part in the discussions, but both bodies have been dissatisfied with their exclusion. But they have been the English clubs anyway been represented by the RFU. The leagues are concerned about how the changes would affect them having to play through the summer and whatnot if they are going to kind of shift the way the seasons go. So the BBC's kind of reported that way. Switch to the New Zealand news, and this is why sometimes the media drives me up the wall. Like, there's several stories on several different websites, all saying how nothing's happening and it's all terrible. Nobody wants to get anything done. It's on the rocks. And there's one from New Zealand Rugby CEO Mark Robinson, reported in Stuff Media's website, said he's frustrated by the French and English clubs' decision to block the path to a global season. He says, we're a little disappointed by the approach of some of the Northern Hemisphere clubs, lack of open-mindedness, willingness to consider the switch. Apparently, the representatives from the Six Nations and Sanzar said they were willing to compromise, but the sticking point was the French and English clubs weren't willing to move. So, yeah, the New Zealand media went full, I don't want to say full moron, but full, just panning the fact that there's been no golden bullet to solve everybody's problems at the first kind of meeting. And I know it's been something, it's not something new. The idea of an aligned calendar is not something new, but the idea that things were going to move that quickly was probably, even under the circumstances when everyone's kind of having to adapt to the 2020 realities, was probably not very realistic. So they may have gone a bit too hard in their reporting of that, but whatever gets the clicks on the website, I suppose. Obviously, it's disappointing that there's no formal kind of global calendar in place yet, which is going to be best for everyone. People have talked about like some of the tours when the northern teams come down here, the players are at the end of their season and they're tired, they look like they want a break, and they send a B team, they rest some of their top guys. And it's true, the All Blacks sometimes end of year tours will often mix it up. You know what I mean? They send some new guys who maybe only end up getting 1 or 2 caps. So yeah, obviously we would like that kind of stuff not to happen and there to be more real competition. But that being said, we don't want to affect like the comp. I don't think anyone would like to say, well, maybe some people would. Like, no one wants to do away with the Six Nations and kind of stuff. It's just about when it's going to be played, as far as I know. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, nothing really happened, but the reporting of it was interesting. The way that the media kind of goes so mental. But yeah. The next one is a bit of a disappointing one, but then I've recently read Twitter, which maybe, again, is proving that you can't always believe everything you read. So there's been stories out for a couple of days that Kenki Fukuoka is going to quit rugby. He's not going to go to the Olympics next year for the Sevens team. He's quitting the 15s game, and he's not going to play rugby anymore because he wants to be a doctor. From the story I read, apparently his old man's a dentist and his granddad is a doctor, so there's like a big medical tradition in his family, and he wants to follow along. He's 27 years old, so if you want to be a doctor, generally you would have started your studies a long time before that. But wouldn't be the first rugby player to get a medical degree. There's a few of them about. But I did see on Twitter today that he said it was translated from Japanese, so how much I can trust the translation, I'm not sure. But basically saying that he hasn't formally retired yet. He's still waiting to see what's going to happen with the top league season. So, but yeah, it'll be disappointing if he does. I mean, obviously he's got to do what's right for him. If you want to be a doctor, man, be a doctor. You'll probably affect people's lives equally in a positive manner as a doctor as you would bringing the joy to us as rugby fans. Obviously, he's a lightning quick winger, great steps, really, really fun player to watch. So it'll be disappointing for us as fans not to see him playing, if that is indeed the case. But he's got to do what's right for him. And the last one is a campaign that's underway for a rugby video game campaign. I'll leave a link to that YouTube video. I retweeted the tweet about it today. There's a fella on the Rugby RYGBI YouTube channel who's been working his guts out to try and get a bit of support going for a rugby video game. He managed to get the likes of Brian Habana, the Russian captain Vasily Artemyev, a bunch of other former players, some rugby YouTubers, all to put a little message together to try and get people interested in lobbying anyway for a rugby video game, a proper one, rather than the kind of some of the half-hearted ones we've had in recent years. So check that out, and if you're able to share it on social media, by all means do so. But yeah, that's it from me today. As I said, kind of in the dark, seeing as I've been back at the office. But yeah, I hope you guys are all well. Take care. Thanks to Karl again for the jersey. Yeah, that's the Welsh teams sorted. I guess next I probably have to get like an Edinburgh jersey because I've only got Glasgow. I've got the 4 Irish teams, so yep, knocking them off one by one. But yeah, man, cheers. That was greatly appreciated. And if you guys are in New Zealand, get some Super Rugby tickets because the atmosphere at the weekend was amazing. We've got a couple more games in Super Rugby Aotearoa this weekend coming up. They should be amazing as well. So yeah, cheers guys, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.